Three types of commercial property in this current market that I would not be buying, not be touching, and will advise my clients to not to touch. One, because they're a money pit, they literally sucks money and they'll never give you a good return in investment back. Number two, they won't hold their value, they will drop in value and you'll have vacancy issues. Number three, they will be inflated in price, which means that it will take you a long time to actually get that money back. Right? Let me share with you with examples. Number one, this is a property that is a heritage listed property. Now, everyone in the commercial space wants an uplift property. Now, I know everyone wants an uplift property. Everyone wants a property that they go, oh, wow, it's got so much land. And if I refurbish it, I will actually end up with a really great yield. I'll get a 10% yield. And what will happen is with that 10% yield, I will be able to have so much cash flow. And then later, my property will literally double. Now, let me tell you, this property is not going to be the case. Number one, let me tell you, firstly, it's in regional Queensland. So it's in Rockhampton. Doesn't matter about Rockhampton. It can be in Mackay, it can be in Townsville, it can be in Cairns, it can be in Warrnambool, in regional Victoria, it can be in regional New South Wales, in Wagga or Junee. It can be anywhere. It's not about being regional. It's actually about the location versus getting trades. There's certain locations where it's just harder to get trades, right? And right now, in somewhere like regional Queensland, it's very, very hard to get trades and you have to wait a long time and you do pay a premium. So that's number one. Number two, it's heritage overlaid. So while it's not being heritage listed, it's overlaid by the local council. What does that mean for you? It means that it's so much harder to renovate and it's going to cost you so much more. That means that every time you want to do a renovation, just to paint the property will cost you a lot of money. Why would you do that, right? When it's going to cost you a lot of money in just renovating, getting trades there. And if you have to fly the trades from Brisbane to regional Queensland, it's going to cost you so much more. So why put yourself through that? So don't do that, right? Thirdly, yes, it seems really, really cheap, under 600,000, where you can get literally almost 2,000 square meters of lettable area because it's 2 levels, right? In reality, by the time you do the works, there's asbestos, there's rundown connections in terms of non-compliance of the electricals, plumbing, everything else. Plus, you rip out the asbestos new roof and then partition it. You're going to find you're going to spend another 500,000 actually renovating this property. Then what you're going to have is then trying to tenant it, right? And you won't get the rent for the amount of money, heartache, and effort you put in there. So now you're about $1 million or $1.2 million into there because you pay for stamp duty, etc., etc. So let's even say you did get a discount. It was $1 million. What happens then after that is that now you're going to have to tenant it. Now, in order for you to actually get any money back, you have to get $90,000 on that actual property in terms of rent, right? Yes, that may not seem like a lot, 1,000 square meters rentable, that's $90 a square meter. Maybe you'll be able to get 120, you might get 120,000, yes. But you also have to allow for holding costs, incentives, fit out for the tenant. So it's not about refurbishing property, it's about fit out as well for your tenant and creating a hub and the need as well. And look at the parking space. There's literally no parking spaces except for street parking. So if someone is got to put a school, a dance school in there, so a training college, a government tenancy, what are they going to do, right? There's not going to be any parking. So that becomes an issue, right? So literally, it will cost you 2 years of holding to get it right? And that's not worth it. So that's something I won't touch. I love commercial property uplifts. We're one of the only companies that can do commercial uplifts. I do it all the time, not only with our clients and students, but myself as well. This is one I won't touch, right? That's number one. Number two, one of the things I won't touch is these tiny, small sheds. Right? Now, they built them in hundreds around Newcastle, Wollongong, around the fringes of Brisbane and in terms of Melbourne. Now, they're only tiny sheds. They're either going to be 3 levels or 2 levels, and they start out with like 69 square meters, and they go to about 130 square meters, but they're laid on top of each other. So you might get 120 square meters, but it's actually 3 levels or 2 levels. It's a mezzanine level. But the standard is somewhere around even 40 to 60 square meters. So basically, you're buying a storage shed. Instead of them having a self-storage facility, they basically take a self-storage facility, divide them up into little spaces, and then sell it, right? at the time when you get into commercial property and you don't know what you're looking for, you're thinking, great, it's like buying a car space. Of course, the rent's going to go up because there's literally no competition there. But really, most people who buy are owner-occupiers, right? And you're not going to get the kind of tenants that people traditionally get in commercial property. You're not going to get your tenants that are going to be on 3, 5, 10-year leases. What you are going to get is tenants that are going to be on month-to-month leases or yearly leases at most, right? Which, what does that mean to you? You don't have the stability of the tenancy. Plus, none of these tenants are going to pay outgoing. So they're going to literally operate as a residential tenant. They're going to pay one rent and you're going to have to take out all your outgoings and everything from it. So therefore, you're actually literally making no money from it. The return is going to be so low. Plus, there's going to be an oversupply in the next 2 to 3 years because there's so much demand. Most people buy for owner occupiers, and then when they don't want to use it, they want to rent it out or sell it. It's not going to hold its value. It might go by 10%, 15% in the next 2 to 3 years, but then it's going to stagnate and you won't get your money back. That's just not enough space for the traditional operator. If you look at the traditional one-man band, they're going to need 120, 150 square meters of traditional warehouse spaces, right? Even if it's small, like a 70 square meter, they're going to need electricity. They're going to need access. These places are pokey. They don't have the access. It's great as a marketing gimmick. It's great as someone who they think it's great as an entry level. But you're getting no value if you're spending $400,000, $300,000 on these properties. Literally, you could take that money and buy something else in regional or another city other than Sydney or Melbourne where you're going to get much better returns. So that's something I definitely will not touch, right? Number 3, one of the things I'm really, really careful about is properties off the plan. Now, properties off the plan there's 2 forms. One, I will buy when it's a vacant property, newly built, ready to go, right? So what happens is the building's almost completed. It's about to be completed. I can see it there. It's physically done, right? And they're issuing titles as we speak. We're exchanging contracts and they're done, ready to be rented and tenanted. That's when I would buy that property. Or maybe that property is already done on the market. 2 or 3 months later, it's still vacant. I'm buying it. I'm capitalizing on the fact that it's vacant. I'm going to put a tenant in there, do some refurbishment and get the uplift, right? That's what I'm doing. But when it's off the plan to be built in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, or even in 18 months' time, I simply won't touch it. Heaps of people ask me, is it worthwhile to buy a 400 square meter warehouse for $800,000 or $900,000 that is off the plan now that will be completed in 2 years? No, because you're actually paying 2 years' prices now. You literally are. If that warehouse was $700K, $600K, absolutely you can do that because you're paying current rate per square meter. But most of the time, when you're looking at off the plan, especially for commercial, you're paying future prices, right? That means that everything is inflated in the equation. What does that mean? It means that everything's inflated. How is that inflated? Firstly, the developer is going to show you that you can get 6 or 7% rental yield, where in reality, when it actually is built and you've got competition of 20, 30 warehouses on the market, it is going to end up being more like a 5% to 5.5% yield rather than they promise 6 to 7%. If they give you a rental guarantee, that rental guarantee is not going to be market rental guarantee. It's going to be inflated anyway. So you're paying inflated rent, you get inflated guarantee, but eventually the guarantee will go. You still have paid a high price, but you're not getting your return. So you're never going to get your value. It's going to take you 3 years to recover the value. And the whole point of buying off the plan is the value gain in 2 to 3 years' time. But most of the time in commercial, they hike up that price, you're not getting it, right? And that's where you make that mistake, right? And most people make the mistake thinking, yes, it's hot commodity. I can't get warehouse anywhere else. Everything's trading with 5.5%. Wow, I get a warehouse and I don't have to pay for it for 2 years. And then I get a 7% developer's guarantee or director's guarantee. That's what I want. I get a 7% rental guarantee from the developer and that's what I want. And that means that I get to gain all the time and I see dollar signs. But guess what? It's only the developer that's winning. When you come to settle on it, you've made no money in the capital growth. You've got an inflated rent. And guess what happens then? It will tank in about 12 months to 18 months. and you're going to be holding a property that you bought inflated that's going to take 2 years to recover. So you need to hold it for 5 years before it actually grows in value for you, allow you to buy again. And that's why I won't touch it. I will absolutely buy a property that is vacant, ready, done, getting titles signed already there that I can see, that I can put an ad up straight away and get a tenant in. I will absolutely not do one where it is just off the plan that's still to be developed in the next 2 to 3 years. So hopefully those 3 properties, I've given you some highlights and you've seen the examples of what they are. Stay away from them. Don't touch them. And if you do think of even thinking about touching them, come to one of my webinars, come to one of my events and ask me before you even think about it, because there's pitfalls and money pits that you want to avoid. Literally, if you do it wrong, costs you tens and thousands of dollars. My name is Helen Tarrant. I help everyday Australians get wealthy and have a safe and secure retirement through commercial property. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you in the next video.